Hey, it's Vincent here, and today we're going to be discussing Riftbound, the new League of Legends trading card game. Let's jump right into it. All right, as you can see here, we have Riftbound, which they just announced the official name for, which is this. I keep accidentally wanting to call it Runebound, but it is Riftbound, which I mean they have the Rift in League of Legends. They also have runes, but they have the Rift in League of Legends, so it makes sense. I think overall it's a pretty solid name, and obviously the art looks good, and my dog loves barking. We have the trailer going on here introducing Riftbound, the League of Legends trading card game. I definitely recommend checking this trailer out if you're interested in sort of like learning more about it. It's only 5 minutes long. I watched it here. Nice and entertaining. Obviously, some really cool art. They don't really have a lot going on their website as far as the TCG goes. Let's see, we got the Riftbound website, and it just takes you back to the same page. So if you want to see more, you kind of have to go to Twitter over here where you can see this Jinx card, which looks phenomenal with the full art. As far as gameplay goes, I could not find anything online that really went in depth on the gameplay. I heard some people say that there were things online about it, and I remember like hearing things randomly. So I'm going to sort of piece together what I can from these cards and from what I see, and tell you based off of what they told us in the video. So these two icons, I assume, are sort of like your colors would be in Magic or in Digimon. It's basically like the card types that you'd be playing. I assume you can only play the card types that are affiliated with these icons in your deck. You don't have to have a card that has both, but you have to have a card that has one or the other. If we move over here, we see Victor, which has two different icons than Jinx. So this represents vastly different types of cards that you can play in your deck. And then we have the different colors here to mirror that as well. So that is my guess. I also assume that every deck will have a legend card that you'd play. So you can play Jinx as a legend, you can play Victor as a legend, and they have a different ability. So this one says you pay 1 and quote unquote tap to play a 1 whatever type of recruit unit that is as a token. So essentially, if you play as Victor, you get to make tokens. And as Jinx, at the start of your beginning phase, draw one if you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. So she helps you catch back up if you're losing out of cards from your hand. And then we have her Super Mega Death Rocket, which is a signature spell Jinx. I assume that means that you can only play it if you have Jinx as your champion or your legend, I guess we'll say. So overall, I think these cards look amazing. The templates for the cards is phenomenal. I love it. I love the colors. I do kind of wish this header was dropped down a bit because there's a lot of empty space here. And it just sort of looks... Well, okay, so for the legends, we don't really have that. But for the spells, I mean, and you might say, I don't know, it just looks a little odd to me. It costs 4, it shows you what symbol it goes with. So again, we see that symbol. Actually, we don't see that symbol here, do we? Hold on. Wait a second. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hopefully they're not super reliant on just the colors, because I'm colorblind, and so that makes it difficult. Okay, I see icons here. So we have this one that has like the cursor here, like the little aimer icon, and then like the little Swishy Madoos, and okay, yeah, so they match there as well. Okay, so all is good with that. And then we have a unit here, which again, I wish this was just dropped down slightly, just a little, you know, a little nitpick there. But we have flavor text there, we have the effect. It looks like a keyword, deflect, which it has reminder text, which, you know, is always great, and we wish, you know, games like V-Card would do that, but, you know, it cost 8, and I assume this is the equivalency of its power, is like a power of 8. Now, I do wish it had 2 stats, you know, like an attack and defense or power and toughness situation, because it gives you a lot more room to really design around, and having just the single number tends to lead to power creep faster because you have less room to play with. You know, so if we were to take this into context of Magic the Gathering and you have a 2-cost creature, Well, at a 2-cost creature, your sort of standard rate is like a power of 2, toughness 2, so a 2/2 for 2 is how we'd say that. Well, that's standard, but of course you can have a 2/2 for 2 with an ability as well, like a positive ability. And you can kind of push that a little bit up, and you can power creep that a little bit, but you could also do 2 for a 3/1, 2 for a 1/3, 2 for a 0/4, 2 for a 0/5, and you can introduce, or 2 for a 4/4, but with a downside effect, and it gives you a lot more room to mess with. Whereas this, it's, you know, if you were to have 2 for a 2, you're kind of stuck with that, and then there's a few effects you can add to it, and then if you have a power of 0 or 1, you can increase how potent the effect is, and then you can go with like a 3 or 4 power and make the effect more of a downside, but it just gives you less wiggle room to mess with. But I'm going to have faith in the developers on this one, and just trust that this is to make the gameplay better, because it is possible. I'm not saying that this automatically makes the game worse in any way. I'm just saying it's sort of like a very small like red flag, and I don't mean red flag as in it's bad. It's just something that catches my attention and is something that I'm like, that's usually something I don't prefer seeing in a card game, but it is possible to make it better. For example, this might be the way to go if there's a lot of cards in play with a lot of different numbers and bonuses happening. So this sort of helps mitigate the mental math that players have to do and just streamlines things a bit. It is possible that the way the game's designed, that this is the correct choice. There's also these 2 icons here. I don't know if that's additional mana that someone needs to pay to play him, but my assumption is that it could also be a bonus you gain. In a card game called Keyforge, they have little icons on the side like this, and it basically gives you like extra energy whenever you play it. So instead of it being a cost, it could be a bonus. I'm not too sure on that one. It could go either way. And here we have the Legend Yasuo, which has some different icons here. And he also has a quote-unquote tap ability. Move a friendly unit to or from your base. So he helps move your units back and forth, which goes with him because he is like the wandering samurai. With that, I saw some people were talking about this game, and they were wondering if it was going to be a Magic the Gathering clone. In the video, they discuss how this game is designed to not only be 1v1, but also to be 2v2 or free-for-all. And people were saying like, oh, well, it's probably just going to be a Commander knockoff. Well, good news is, I mean, for one, just having the single number here is definitely far from Magic the Gathering in itself. But more so than just that, in this game, it seems to be somewhat territory based. So if you look at this card, you may play me to an occupied enemy battlefield. So there seems to be different battlefields or different lanes, if you will, that you can sort of move your card to and fight on. I assume that there will probably be 3. I know that the new MetaZoo card game is doing something similar. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because we don't have a really big TCG that uses a territory function. I know that the Warhammer 40k card game from like 20 years ago did something like that. So if that's something you haven't looked into, but you're interested in that type of design, I recommend you checking out that card game and seeing what they had. I wasn't personally interested in the artwork and the lore in general, so I didn't really get into that card game or learn the rules inside and out, but they were doing a lot with the territory aspects, and that card game seemed to fail. So it'd be curious to see what aspects of that game were fun, or how other card games are tackling a similar subject but doing it in a better way. And hopefully they're not just repeating the same mistakes that past card games have done, because I know my friend and I have talked about that a lot, where a lot of current card games are made by people who are excited about TCGs and they just want to become a TCG developer, but they haven't really learned from history. They haven't studied what things have already failed. And it doesn't mean you can't try to do those things again, but it means that if you are to do those things again, you need to do so wisely, understanding what did not work and what did work and why it did not work, and navigating the TCG landscape accordingly. Now, when it comes to this card game, I have been pretty. I don't have a main TCG at the moment. I've been sort of TCG homeless, if you will, for a while. For various reasons, and this one honestly is capturing my attention. I think that it seems like it's going to be really solid. The art is phenomenal, the template's amazing. I like the way the cards are worded. There's no like really big red flags for me as far as what I see. Legends of Runeterra, it was their digital card game that I believe they shut down, which is unfortunate because that was my... I think Legends of Runeterra had the best gameplay of any card game I've ever played, honestly. But the biggest downside was that it wasn't a physical card game. And I love physical card games. There's something that just feels great about sitting at a table with your friends and having that tactile experience, holding the cards in your hands. And so I hope that this just sort of corrects onto what I was missing from Legends of Runeterra. That being said, this does look a lot different gameplay-wise, but hopefully they can take some aspects of it that I enjoy. This game is supposed to be releasing October 2025 in the United States. They are being distributed by the same company that distributes multiverses, or universes rather. So like the My Hero Academia, Critical Role, Attack on Titan, those guys. So if you see those cards carried in your local game store, you should be able to find... I almost said Riftbound in your store. They said that the first set has around 300 cards, 14 cards per pack. I think it is something like 7 commons, 3 uncommons, 3 holos, and 1 token per booster pack. And they're also releasing a starter set that will have 4 different legends in it that you can play with your friends, and they each have their own decks. So it will have an equivalency of starter decks. I'm not sure if you have to buy the starter deck set that comes with all 4 starter decks at once, or if they'll have an option where you can just buy 1 or 2, because I think that would be kind of weird if you have to buy all 4 together. But it does seem like they're doing a lot of things right. I know a lot of people are upset about the Legends of Runeterra thing closing, but as far as the TCG product goes, I think this looks great. Hopefully this can be my home for a TCG for me to really follow and play along with. I think it looks great. So let me know what you think in the comments below. What are you excited about? What are you worried about when it comes to this card game? I'd love to discuss it with you. And as always, take care and stay awesome. Hey, what is up? If you're a fan of anime and tabletop games, then be sure to check out our card games, tabletop role-playing games, and even our manga. We have a lot of fun stuff over there for you to check out on our website, VindicateedEntertainment.com. We even have a brand new tabletop role-playing game, Black Paper Moon. Check it out, and we'll see you there.